Hello folks, I thought I'd give you an update on the fruit trees, see how they're doing. This is, you can see the one pear tree has some pears growing on it. It's been a really rough summer with the amount of rain we had to try to get these trees sprayed, because obviously there's no sense spraying the tree if it's going to rain right away. And because of that, the fruit isn't going to be that great this year because I didn't get it sprayed enough. But as you can see, this tree has a fair amount of pears on it, considering this is only the second year that it started to produce pears. The upper branches, of course, don't yet, but that's okay. And my other pear tree here hadn't done anything at all yet. Didn't produce, it didn't even have any blossoms. But as you can see, I got one pear growing on there. I think there was another one I saw in here somewhere. But so at least that's starting. Maybe the cross-pollination will help between the two trees. I can't remember if these are self-pollinating or if they need two varieties. But I know it's two different kinds of pears, and you can see that from the leaves and the shape of the pears themselves. The cherry plum has really grown well. You can see there's some leaf damage up there from the Japanese beetles, but the tent caterpillars that were here earlier in the year, they're all taken care of. The plums are almost ready. They're just a little hard yet. I wanted to let them go a little bit. Some of them have split. They're not, again, because I couldn't really spray, I wasn't able to do as good a job as I'd liked with them, but that's just the way this summer has been. My one apple tree here, you can see there are a couple apples growing, and the same issue I had. I just couldn't get it sprayed, so the quality of the fruit isn't great. We dropped a number of apples earlier in the summer, partly because of that and partly because I'm sure the weather. But again, this is only the second year that this thing has started to produce, so I'm thinking that maybe by next year we'll be in a lot better situation. We'll get more than just a handful of apples off of it, and they'll be better quality. The Golden Delicious here has a few apples too. Same thing though, I just couldn't get it sprayed because of it being so wet, and the quality of the apples isn't great. But we've got a few coming. The tree is relatively healthy. It's grown well. I mean, these things have really, over the last 4 years, they started out, these trunks are maybe 5 inches in diameter now. They started out about 1 inch in diameter, and the tree was maybe 6 feet tall. And now, of course, I prune them back every year, but we're talking probably a good 12, 15 feet, close to. So they're doing well. They just need to get their act together with growing fruit, but that'll come. Now my peach tree here, this thing's gone crazy this year. And again, I really wish I could have done spraying, because I've had an amazing harvest of peaches from this tree. There are just so many of them. The blossoms were plentiful. They survived the frosts, the late frosts didn't affect them, and the peaches would be absolutely gorgeous were I able to get them sprayed. So I've got to see what I can do about salvaging what I can from them. Even if they're not beautiful to look at, we're not planning on selling them, and also we're either just going to eat them ourselves or we're going to turn them into jams and jellies. So that one's a little hard yet. You want to, with peaches, I'm told you've got to wait until they start to soften up. You cannot pick them when they're green, or they just will not ripen afterwards. They're not like some other fruit that you can pick and then they'll ripen after you get them off the tree. So it's kind of a wait till the last second and then go like crazy to get them all harvested. So that's where I am with them now. I still don't, these are still too hard. They're starting to blush though. They weren't that darker reddish peach color before. They were more just yellow. So they're not real bad, but they're not what they could have been. And we'll see what we end up with. I'll let you know how we make out with peach jam with them. My largest blueberry bush here isn't doing bad, even with the rain. And as you can see, the upper blueberries are doing fine. The other night I looked out the window, and when the chickens were free ranging, they were surrounding this bush. and actually jumping up in the air a little bit to try to get what blueberries they could reach. I just hadn't had the chance to put netting around it because it was just you know, they were small yet. The bushes were small yet. I didn't think they were going to produce much, but now that they're getting to be a bigger size, it's time to protect them. What I'll typically do is I'll put like chicken netting around the bottom, and then as they get taller, when they get to be as tall as a person or higher, and the shrubs will grow up to about 6-7 feet, then I'll put a framework around the top with some netting. That way when I go to pick, I can just peel the netting off to pick, and then I can cover it back up so that the wild birds don't eat all my blueberries on me. Oh, that has a good flavor. I can't remember which variety this was. This is one that I think I got. I either got this at Home Depot or Lowe's. I can't remember anymore. But it'll be quite prolific. I think I got about a quart or so of blueberries off of it last year. It was only the second year, I think, that it started to produce. So, and I've got a few more that are coming here. This one had a few on. That's a small one over there next to that dead stump. And these are just, they're still just starting. They're small yet. This one here, actually, if you look close, you can see it's got little white berries on, and they will turn blue. This isn't a blueberry. This is actually a wild mountain huckleberry. Where my wife used to live in the Poconos, she had a bunch of these on her lot, and we dug some out and transplanted them. Many of them didn't survive here, but this one did. I think the reason was they were shaded there, and here they were open sun, so they weren't used to it. But we do have one little left over from her previous home, and even though the wild huckleberries are smaller than the blueberries, they are very sweet and they make great pies. So, at any rate, I just want to give you a little update on the fruit trees so you can see what happened with them. I did get a handle on those tent caterpillars. I don't see any more of them. There was some there is some damage here, of course, because of some wilt and things like that from it being so wet, and some over there, of course, on the plum tree from the Japanese beetles. Even though I sprayed that again, it was too wet to keep it sprayed, but it's doing healthy considering that tree started from a little 6-inch sprout that a neighbor gave me, 6-inch tall sprout, and that's what it's grown up into in 3 years. So not bad, and this little orchardette will hopefully just continue to keep giving us more and more as it matures, and hopefully it's close enough to the house it'll keep the critters away from getting after the fruit, and maybe we'll get enough. I think if this peach tree produces like this next year, we might have enough that we don't need to buy any peaches. We might get a half a bushel or something off of this, and that's about what we usually use when we're doing canning or preserves. So, at any rate, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel.